Welcome to the Building Web3 podcast. Today we're diving into SideShift, and we're going to learn how they're revolutionizing crypto trading by eliminating account signups and coin custody. We'll explore how they're making it easier than ever to swap tokens across various blockchains, including complex integrations with chains like Tron and Ton. If you're curious about the future of seamless crypto exchanges and bridging between sidechains, this episode is absolutely for you. Remember, nothing stated here is financial advice. Welcome to the Building Web3 podcast. I have my good friend Andreas. He is the founder at SideShift. Andreas, before we get too deep into SideShift, give us a little background into what you were doing before you got to crypto and what was your come to crypto moment?
Wow, I got into crypto in 2011. So before that, I was into online gaming, as we call it now. Some people call it gambling. I was trying to make a living, trying to analyze some games, try to play various games for profits, and I discovered Bitcoin when it was fairly new. Everybody keeps arguing about how early one was, but I discovered it like a lot of people, just seeing some articles online, these kind of things. But the big moment for me to get into crypto was installing this Bitcoin wallet on my computer and going through the pretty difficult process of buying some Bitcoins and then just using it, making wallets for my friends, giving them some free Bitcoins, buying random stuff online, and experimenting. So I fell in love with this technology immediately. It was having used PayPal and some other payments providers online back then. To me, it felt like a no-brainer because in PayPal there was always some problems, and with sending money internationally was very difficult. But with Bitcoin, it was very clear. It's just an app, and you send and receive. Nobody's authorizing this. That was very obvious.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say for the record, if anyone would like to send some free Bitcoin, the Building Web3 podcast is accepting all large donations.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, I have something in my notes here about a JavaScript hierarchical deterministic Bitcoin wallet. I know that's a mouthful. Tell us a little bit about that, what that is even.
Yeah, it's a really long name. Traditionally in Bitcoin, there is a tradition of using really difficult and long names for things that don't make a lot of sense. What you're describing is a piece of software that does what we call an HD wallet today. And an HD wallet is basically every wallet you have. So if you have MetaMask, I'm sure you noticed that when you create your MetaMask wallet, you write down 12 words, which is your seed phrase. But I'm sure you also noticed that you don't just get one address, one account. You get as many accounts as you want. And these accounts are stored in the same seed phrase. So we call this concept of having one seed phrase and many accounts, we call this an HD wallet. I started working on some software for Bitcoin to let people use this. And this is way back in the day. Yeah, hopefully people are still using it.
All right, so a very innovative approach. Now, let's walk us up to the point of coming to SideShift. Like, how did we get to SideShift? What is its mission?
Yeah, so I've been running and working at exchanges for quite a while. So I ran my first exchange in Norway, which was back in, call it 2015. And that was a traditional exchange called JustCoin, which means we had fiat on-ramps and limit order books and crypto trading pairs and all this. And it was very exciting to work with because it's also new. But I quickly realized that once you start taking fiat deposits and withdrawals, then most of your time and effort will go into dealing with the banking system. because unlike crypto, which is very easy, dealing with the banking system is not easy and it's also not fun. So I decided to sell the company to some lovely people in Hong Kong who are still involved in the industry. And I started working at Kraken, which is an exchange I think many of the listeners have heard of. So I spent a couple of years there and picked up, in my opinion, I picked up a lot of good habits as an engineer on especially security practices. So shout out to the team at Kraken and the founder, JC Powell, for teaching me all those lessons. And when it came time to start something new, I'm a bit of a natural founder. Like if I sit around long enough, I'll just come up with some idea. So I started working on a concept for an exchange where you don't have to create a user account and you don't hold a balance with the exchange. You simply choose what you have and what you want. So for example, I have Doge, I want Bitcoin, or basically any other trading pair. So the founding story of SideShift is really me experimenting with especially wanting to bridge funds between sidechains. That's the name, right? SideShift. And I just got started working on it. So first there were 2 coins, then there were 5 coins, and people asked for more, and suddenly you're sat there with hundreds of different assets now across many, many chains and even lots of layers.
Awesome. And let's imagine somebody's never been to SideShift.ai and they're coming in here for the first time and maybe they want to swap some tokens or maybe they want to onboard onto the system. Talk me a little bit through the user journey and how they get, onboarded into SideShift and what are some of the things they can do in there?
Well, it's interesting when you say onboarding because there is no onboarding. You go on the website and you choose what you have and what you want, and you say create order. Now we give you an address to send what you could call the input tokens or the deposit tokens to, and as soon as we receive them, we send you the settlement. So you don't have a balance with us. There's no there's simply no way. There's simply no way to store a balance with us, which is the important part. Because if you think about it, when you hear about the disaster in crypto, what is the disaster? What are the bad things that happen? It's always
BlockFi,
the
Luna.
same. It's always the same story, right? You put your money into some app, and either the people who run the app ran away with it, or the government ran away with it, or they got hacked and the hackers ran away with it. But either way, you gave, like we say, you gave your private keys away. You let somebody else control your coins, and now you have nothing. And we in the industry running exchanges, we can sit around all day and tell you, no, you have to take the coins out of the exchange. You got to store it on your ledger, your Trezor. You got to write down your seed phrase. Don't store the coins on the exchange. But after so long, more than 10 years of exchanges being around, it's very clear that if the users can leave the money on the app, they will leave the money on the app. So in SideShift, we have simply removed the ability to use us as a bank. The only way you can use SideShift is the coins leave your wallet and the coins come into your wallet. So we have really solved that problem for you. We are forcing you to self-custody your funds. So there is no BlockFi situations because we don't hold your coins. Still shout out to all my BlockFi investors out there.
Yeah, you're looking at a very sad BlockFi investor. So we go in, we sign in with our wallet, and then I say, hey, I want to exchange Doge for Bitcoin or Doge for Ethereum, and you guys would figure out the underlying exchange. I never actually custody any of I never actually like put the funds with you guys. You guys just make some kind of atomic exchange, and then I leave
Wait,
with my coins.
I mean, we can't always do atomic exchange. That would be lovely. That is
Totally.
possible on a few chains, and I do hope we get more of that in the future. If it's possible, we'll do it. But there's a bit of technological issue. But yeah, we can say. But at the step you just said, you send the funds in. Let's say it's like uh, at one point during transaction, we are sitting on both the deposit and the withdrawal tokens, right? And this is your risk. This is your moment of counterparty risk. But that will be a very short moment. When for most trades, we can settle them in seconds. So this moment where you're sitting there and you're staring at the screen, hoping you'll get your money, that's like 1 second. But I'm sure you've noticed with if you use some other centralized exchange, I'm sure you've noticed that moment can be for minutes or hours or days or months, or maybe never. So we really try to cut that moment down.
Absolutely. So we've got no signups, super quick transfers, and talk a little bit about like the user adoption. Are people in the market being like, "Hey, SideShift, yes, I want to use this"?
Yes, the adoption's been really good, especially for us. A very big moment was when people started bridging and we started getting all the layer twos, because we got started um, when layer twos and sidechains was just kind of an idea. And like I said, that's why the name is SideShift. Literally shifting between sidechains was the concept. But it was only during really, I'd say like the first DeFi summer and also this last cycle we had, uh, that that people have started bridging a lot. Were you involved in maybe like have you used BSC before or Polygon?
Oh, Polygon, of course.
Okay, all right. So you've done your share bridging. So when people got involved in that, we started to getting massive adoption for these use cases, which is a lot of bridging. So most of the people sending USDC between, for example, Ethereum, BSC, Polygon, which later expanded to, Arbitrum, Optimism, ZK. There's so many of them now. And then, and then the users quickly figure out that you don't have to just bridge USDC. When you use our service, you can take you can swap your USDC on Ethereum, uh, or for any token on Polygon. So it doesn't have to be to the same thing. It can be to just literally anything. So if there's like a hot meme coin on Polygon you want to buy, you can potentially pay for it with like Doge.
Very cool. And let's talk about some of the challenges you guys have had in building SideShift, because like bridging itself is a bit complex at times because you can have these like security risks with the bridges. Talk about how you guys have overcome
You
some of
know,
the challenges.
right. So I mean, this would get really into the internals of running this service, but I can say that the challenges have always been the same since the first day. And the challenges are, how do you price things and how do you manage your inventory? Those are the two really big things. And unfortunately, both of those two things are the secret sauce that we do not give away because that's where we put all of our effort. But yes, I can agree that those things are very difficult. And I
Absolutely.
mean,
And do
then
you,
we have the more regular challenge, which is simply how can we list all of these new projects quickly, because it's slowed down a little bit now, but I'd say only a year ago there were so many chains launching that it was difficult for us to keep up because there was an optimistic roll up launching. It felt like it was several times a week at one point. So it wasn't only the list I said before with Optimism and Arbitrum and ZK Sync and all of these. We started getting them every week, and now we're starting to see almost meme chains. Like we have Vera chain, which is notorious for not launching yet, and we have we have the influencer chain Blast, which was this thing. It's like yeah, we're all the influencers. We're parking their funds, so it was a bit of a challenge getting all these launching, all these chains up, but I think we're doing good.
Yeah, you
And
even had layer threes too, like DGen.
oh wow, that is true. I actually haven't been using any L3s yet, but if there's enough traction, then I'll definitely look into it.
And then for SideShift itself, are you guys building all of these integrations? So I look at a company like a Web2 company like Zapier or Segment, and they integrate with a
Mm,
lot of different,
yeah.
tools. But sometimes the tool provider, like let's say the new blockchain, would build the integration because they're like, hey, we want to be a part of SideShift. Is that ever the case for you guys, or you build every single integration yourself?
Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah, I mean, if you guys are really good examples, Segment and Zapier. I've never known how to actually pronounce Zapier, so that was very nice that somebody finally said it.
Some alpha,
So
yeah.
yeah, there's an alpha there. At I mean, these are two now very big companies, I think. So yes, I can imagine that the integrations themselves will approach them. In our case, it's both of them. And it's sort of who is the bigger fish? Is it Sajid or the chain? So, for example, Vitalik has not come to us and asked if we will integrate Ethereum yet. Well, I mean, we have Ethereum support, but for these bigger chains, mostly we just do the work ourselves. And most of the time, it's open source software, so we can just go and figure it out ourselves. We do, and then we have cases where these chains have a lot of funding, so then we get to speak to some of their integration engineers. And then we have other cases where we just have to hunt down the people and ask them, how on earth can we get this integrated? Because it's very difficult. I would say some examples of difficult ones would be Telegram, the Ton
Ton.
network was a tough one, but mostly we just do it ourselves. We have a couple of very dedicated engineers who will just and sit down in the morning and just study some network and get to it.
Now, question about Ton, because Ton is a perennial topic on the pod. Was it because the Funk programming language is so difficult to understand, or what did you see being the difficulty there?
I'm sorry, which programming language?
Funk.
Is that
Apparently,
what is really
that's
something
their
called
programming
funk?
language. Funk, yeah, like
Okay.
a function, like
Oh, okay, I understand. I, you're making me wonder now because I wondered. Well, Telegram, the software, is is extremely well known for being the one of the best pieces of software that exists, and it has a ridiculous amount of engineers working on it, and I mean low. There's like
low.
nobody working there
I
supporting
think
this
less than
thing.
40.
Definitely, definitely less. And their founder, he famously said that the only person in charge of the product was him. So it was pretty easy. Yeah, the whole roadmap and most of the features is just him coming up with that. So I'm curious now if they're using this funk for Telegram or not. I really don't know. But okay. But for yeah, integrating with Ton has been very challenging. It's uh, it's just pretty confusing. It's a bit hard to explain to people who aren't programmers, but it's very oddly documented, and the design seems like it was done in a bit of a hurry. But at the same time, when our integration engineers are looking at these chains, are kind of odd. Cosmos is also very challenging, and when integration engineers, when they're getting a bit fed up with it, when they can't work it out and it's too tough and things aren't stable, what I say is that if it's difficult for us to do, and our team, in my opinion, on the back end are strong, this integration aspect. If we're struggling with it, then the other exchanges are struggling more. So it just means we should actually focus on this now. So uh, the weirder the chain is and the more difficult, the more I like it in general.
I was actually telling this to my roommate the other day. He's building, I won't give any too much details, but he's building in a SaaS for Instagram analytics. And you had to pay for this like API with Tron coin, like whatever TRX, I believe it's called. And it was so difficult to get payment for that. And I was like, hey, if you're struggling with this, just think of this as a giant barrier to entry that no competitor is really going to want to deal with.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you ever need help integrating Tron with anything, you can just let me know because we have spent a lot of time on that. And Tron is a tough one, and I'm not gonna say it's something they did wrong because they, it was very heavily inspired by Ethereum back in the day. But you can imagine they kind of forked off from Ethereum at a very early point. So many of the growing pains and the kind of bad design decisions that they had in Ethereum back in the day got a little stuck in Tron. So they're kind of compatible and it's kind of similar, but it's not. And of course, Justin Sun is the master of making tokens. So when you deal with Tron, you're dealing with just a lot of tokens.
A lot of tokens. Yeah, there was a funny clip, I believe it was from him, where it's like, he was like, everyone just said we copied Ethereum. And he said, our life would have been a lot easier if we just purely copied them.
Yes, it would, but he likes adding features. So on Tron, you can send transactions without paying gas, but you only get like so many per day. And then it charges up over time because you have a balance, and there's all these features that they obviously made to streamline the user adoption, but they end up with as tech challenges for somebody like me who's integrating this.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you had to give some advice to some aspiring founders, and maybe they're going to build a blockchain, and they're like, "Hey, we'd love to integrate with SideShift." What's some of the advice you would give people? Be like, "Hey, make it easy on us."
Okay, so your advice for somebody who's making a chain: just make another optimistic rollup. It's okay.
No ZK, no.
It's totally fine. Just take the optimism folder, just copy it, change the names. It's all good. It works for everything. It's working for like 20 successful chains out there. Yeah. No, really, this is I think this is generic advice for a founder who's making a product that people will have to integrate into. And just make good documentation and tell your engineers that when they make examples and guides, just imagine the person reading this as somebody like yourself. Make it good, make it cool, because that's the impression that other people will have of your company. And when you're looking to hire engineers, those candidates that you're looking at, they're going to be reading your documentation and looking at your GitHub, and they will judge you based on any work you've produced that is public. So that really needs to be of the highest quality. Anything that is public. And then you just have to hire a kick-ass developer, somebody to do developer relations. And that person should be an actual programmer and somebody who's likable, and just make them available, send them out there.
Yeah, maybe someone that's handsome, runs a podcast. We used to work at Google. And if you could find that person, I'd say hire them.
No, I don't think they exist.
Yeah, they probably don't exist. Yeah, that's true. Let's talk about some of the upcoming milestones you guys have. Like, what can the community look forward to from SideShift?
Yeah, we're working on a few products that I really like. So one is called SideShift Onboard, and and that is a new product we're doing. We're going to make it very easy for wallets to integrate SideShift. And the main challenge here, I actually noticed while I was at a conference. I was at the Solana Breakpoint in Istanbul a few months ago, and there were several wallet providers there. Like Soulflare especially was there, had the booth next to us, and I don't think I don't think these wallets like Phantom, Soulflare, shout out to Backpack, of course. I don't think they know that it's extremely difficult to get started with Solana if you only have Bitcoin. I don't think they're aware because what people do now, I think the way to do it now is that people have to maybe sign up for a sex account and then do the whole thing, with the username and the password and verify the email and you got to set up your 2FA and then you got to deposit and then they stop it and you got to verify it. You know the whole thing, right? And you got to do like 3 trades. Then you got to go through the quiz on the exchange to make sure you understand what you're doing. So nobody's going to do this. I think a lot of Bitcoiners are going to stop at basically step zero. So yeah, so they're just not getting those people because Bitcoiners don't usually sell the coins, but they would like to check things out. So, so I noticed in all these Solana wallets, there's no way to get in there using Bitcoin that makes sense. So we're making a product called SideShift Onboard, where we make it really easy for example, Soulflare to put a button in the user interface that says like "Get started with BTC," or like "Onboard with BTC," and you just click this button. It shows you a QR code. If you send Bitcoins to this address, you will get Solana in your Soulflare wallet. This is a no-brainer to do this because if you're in the Solana ecosystem, you should be working to onboard everyone, right? So SideShift Onboard is a thing where all these wallets can just get a button in their interface. It says, get started with BTC or onboard with ETH or whatever. You see the QR code, you send the coins, and now you're started. And yes, of course, that's using SideShift in the background.
Awesome. Well, where can people learn more about you guys? Obviously, there's SideShift.ai. Where can they get involved with you personally? Like, where can we find out more information?
Yeah. So if you're, especially if you're looking for a job, we're hiring for all roles, but I'm especially looking for back-end engineers today, junior or senior. I'm open to both. And please go to sideshift.ai/jobs and get in touch with us. And anybody else, you can follow me on Twitter. I post as username ABRKN. You can link to that because it's a bit tough.
Yeah.
And I also publish a newsletter every week for 304 weeks, which you can subscribe to at shitcoin.com/newsletter.
Well, I love that domain. We'll put all those links in the description. Andreas, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And everyone that's looking for a job, go message them. Go to /jobs.
Yes, thanks for having me on.